right, here we go. It's it's January 21st, 11:45 p.m. I wanted to talk about natural gas. There's been a lot of talk about this. It is in a kind of a historic freefall. Everybody wants to know if it's bottomed yet. When's it going to bottom? So here are my thoughts about where we are in this this particular pattern. What I'm showing here is the last few weeks. This was a big one here. This was a 1 million share trade. And I recall thinking, oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the low. We got a little bounce. Everyone was optimistic. Certainly I was. And then it dropped back below, which then suggested to me that this was a short cover. Because this sort of a bounce and then a lower low is consistent with a short cover. Then this trade came in. This was the 3.8 million share trade. The biggest one I've seen and the largest one in many, many years. And I was again optimistic, thinking that this was perhaps the low. This is the type of size I would like to see at a low. And if we zoom in, we can see that we got this pop here, and we got a big trade, and immediate continuation of the decline. Obviously not bullish. Whether this is a a buy that's just really, really early, or a short cover is in question. I have a lot of thoughts on this. I've talked about this a lot with other traders, people I respect, and it's just not clear. So I started thinking about maybe we could look at KOLD and boil and get some more clues about where this is. And if we look at KOLD, this is the inverse ETF, 2x inverse, and it's not really showing any signs of being done. We keep getting these smallish trades, but each one is followed by a pop. This one was the one we got on Friday, and it continued up, which suggests to me people are still buying it. It's not being bought with tons of size, but it is being bought and is pushing price up further. So this suggests to me that they're content to continue letting the price of gas fall. This is another view of KOLD. Lots of, smallish trades, 1 and 2 times larger than their average size, coming in at peaks and troughs, highs and lows, over and over again. And this is when we got the same one I just showed, 50,000 shares. And this is not off the charts large, but it is just it demonstrates the fact that they're not done. They're still trying to push gas down, or they think gas is going down. Whatever it is, they're betting on gas going down, because KOLD continues to get bought at these little intermediate lows. It's bought at the low, sold the high. Bought at the low again. Maybe we'll see another one up here. Not sure. Down here, sold the high, bought the low, sold the high. They're just pushing it. This is in the last 3 weeks. They pushed it from 30 all the way up to 44. So that's more than a 25% increase. Excuse me. Still fighting off a really annoying, stubborn KOLD. No pun intended. This is KOLD for a larger time frame, and I was hoping to see big trades at spikes, and I didn't. We see big trades as price goes up, but then these spikes continue up, and I'm not seeing what we often see with leveraged ETFs, which is a big trade right here at a spike high. We didn't get it here. We haven't gotten one up here yet. They're coming in, the larger ones are coming in more here at the lows, and then this is selling into strength on the way up, but quite early if there was knowledge that they were going to take it further here. And maybe that's what these are. It's tough to say. But this reminded me of TLT, which I'll come to in a minute. Boil, same thing. I was hoping to see some large trades at the lows. Not seeing anything. This is the last week. It's just really not doing anything. But if we zoom out, we do see a boil trade here at the high, which is interesting. Boil is behaving differently than KOLD. We got another one here as well. But what I noticed about boil was the volume. This is over the last 6 months. It was pretty low, and it has been steadily increasing down here, which I consider to be a sign of bottoming. So we haven't seen the very large trades, but if you look at the volume profile here, you look at all this really increasing volume, it suggests that there is a lot of activity, a lot of interest. So maybe some degree of accumulation. This also shows the complete profile. This is the vol profile for any and all trades, not just institutional trades. But this is the institutional profile, and you can switch this anytime you like. So this is showing the volume of only the institutional trades. And we are seeing the largest amount of institutional volume down here as well. So somewhat encouraging. Now, when I get to TLT, first I want to go back and show this UNG chart. This is the big trade that came in that I thought would mark the low. TLT did something similar too. Now TLT topped in the summer, or put in a relative high of some sort, and then it had a really, really long sell. Lasted for several weeks, a few months here. And then I remember this big trade coming in, and this big trade was the largest trade in the history of TLT. And it came in at a low, and my natural assumption was, that's it, that's the low. They're going to take it back up. And there was a lot of chatter at the time about TLT being overextended to the downside and some expectation that it would bounce soon. And it didn't. This came in and price continued down. They pushed it really, really hard, all the way down into the low 90s. This came in at 100, so another 10% lower. And it reminded me of this gas pattern, and I thought maybe they're doing the same thing. Maybe we're in the final throes, and this is going to come in, and they're going to push it down, really, really just bury it, and then we'll get a spike, or a bottom. And I remember thinking at the time, well, when this thing bottoms, we're definitely going to see a large TLT trade right at the low. And the funny thing is, we didn't. We got some kind of capitulation down here, and then it started running. And it started running without big institutional trades, which was somewhat unusual. So I'm on alert for a similar outcome. And TLT and gas don't have anything to do with each other, but the pattern is that gas is going through is reminiscent of TLT. Gas put in a really big high in the summer, and it's been selling ever since. So, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And TLT put in a big high in the summer and sold for months as well. And then this gigantic trade came in, and it didn't slow it down. The price just accelerated further, and before it finally bottomed. And then we got that snapback, that V shape here. So I'm on alert for something like that with Boyle. With UNG. We do have elevated volume in Boyle. We do have that big trade, and this thing is so extended. It's ridiculously extended to the downside. I don't know when it's gonna bottom. I don't know what it's gonna take. I don't know if it's waiting for a catalyst or something. But what's on my mind is the contract roll that's coming up this week. So it wouldn't surprise me if they try and keep price as low as they can until the January contract expires on the 27th, which forces everybody who may have taken a long along the way to realize that loss and move on. So I wonder if that's in play, and I wonder if we're going to get to Friday and see some kind of a big bounce over the weekend, next weekend, so a week from now. It's just a theory. I don't have any reason to expect that outcome, but it's something that it's a time frame or a window of opportunity that may give us that same behavior that we saw in TLT. TLT gets this big one, accelerates lower, and then bottoms. And right now TLT, I think, was at 108 or 107 recently, so it's long since overcome this. So hoping for the same in gas. We'll see. That's all I have to share. This was a real bummer, but we'll see. We'll see if gas decides to just put on a low and then take off. All right, guys. Thanks for your time. Bye.